And now, Lifestyles Unlimited presents the Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Over the next hour, we unfold your map to financial freedom. You'll learn how to retire through investing in single-family and multifamily real estate. You'll learn how to create cash flow and build wealth so you can have the time and money to live the lifestyle you want.
Welcome to the show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. The we're is John. John is joining me again today for the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, and I am just ecstatic. And here's why. I met John literally 5 years ago when I first became a member of Lifestyles Unlimited. This is all the way back in 2017. And at that time period, John had achieved something called retirement. Now, I didn't fully understand what retirement meant when I became a member of Lifestyles Unlimited, but when I had an opportunity to meet John, I quickly learned what retirement was all about. As a matter of fact, John is so focused on his retirement, he's kind of like the cheerleader for Lifestyles Unlimited. We call him one of the super passives. What does that mean anyway? Did we just call him a bad name? No. What we called him was somebody that got focused on his real estate investing journey, and he did the things that he needed to do in order to secure that retirement. And in 2017, John became retired. Now, ironically, I was messing around on Facebook. I don't go there very often, but every once in a while I'll peer in just to see what's going on, because there is a Lifestyles Unlimited community on Facebook, and that's really what I'm checking in on, is my community of like-minded investors. Well, lo and behold, I read this post. I don't know, is that what you call a Facebook tweet? I don't know. I don't understand all this social media stuff. But this is what John posted right after the new year. He said this: reflecting today on the 6th anniversary of my retirement from a great engineering career. Well, let's just stop right there. This guy was an outstanding engineer. He did everything engineers are told to do. Go to school, work hard, get good grades, get into a good career, get some retirement benefits, and work like a dog for 30, 40, maybe 50 years and save up this big bag of money called retirement. And John realized in around, it was 2014, about the same time I thought I had retired from the military, that maybe his plan wasn't going to work out. Let me go back to what he posted on the Facebook page, I should say the Lifestyles Unlimited Facebook sector. Okay, whatever that thing's called. In the mid-2014, I thought I was well on my way to retiring when I joined Lifestyles. Our net worth was really good by most people's standards. All I needed to do was work another 10 years and we would be fine. Much to my surprise, I found out that I had replaced our income after only 2.5 years. In 6 years of retirement, our net worth has roughly tripled and our income continues to be excellent, in spite of the fact that we've been living on passive income for 6 years. There are far too many people to thank: Lifestyles Unlimited management and employees, mentors, operations consultants, all my great Lifestyles Unlimited friends, and of course, my great leads that keep me retired. There is a great sense of peace that comes from financial freedom. It really is all about the lifestyle. Yep, still rainbows and gumdrops. Best to all in the new year. All right, John, I got to welcome you to the show. Welcome back to the show, my old dear friend. How are you, and did you write that information?
I sure did, Al, and it really is rainbows and gumdrops.
Now, did you think it was all going to be rainbows and gumdrops when you were in that engineering career and you were doing what, everybody told you to do for retirement?
Well, of course not. I had a really successful career, and a lot of aspects of it were a lot of fun, and I got to do a lot of great things. But I was getting tired of getting up to an alarm clock at 5 o'clock every morning so I could be at work by 7 or so. I used to tell people that operations engineers like me, we got to start earlier than everybody else because we need a head start, right? One of the coolest things about retirement is the only time I wake up to an alarm clock is if there's some special event, like a multifamily road trip or something going on. Other than that, I wake up when I wake up, and so does my wife. It's just great.
You know, I have achieved that result myself. I was able to finally get there in 2019. So let me ask you this question. Before you became a member of Lifestyles Unlimited, what triggered in your mind that maybe retirement wasn't going to be exactly what you thought it should have been?
Well, my brother was a member of Lifestyles down in the Houston office. This was in 2010. And he invested directly in several single family and duplexes. And it kind of caught my attention because I was always looking for some kind of a diversification from the stock market. You know, I just didn't know another way other than the stock market. And so I got him to show me what he was doing. And I thought, my brother is an HR executive. If he can do this, surely an engineer can do this. So I invested with him to some degree in a few of those. And then in 2011, I realized, look, there are foreclosures everywhere in DFW that require nothing more than just carpet and paint. And I thought, if I buy these for all cash, which I had a lot of money on hand, even an Aggie can't mess that up. I bought 7 foreclosures for all cash, and I thought, this is great. This is a bunch of cash flow, and this will be a good supplement to stock market and all that sort of thing. Rocked along for about 3 years or so, and I thought, maybe I need to check out this group that taught my younger brother how to do this. So mid-2014 is when I checked out the free introductory workshop, which really got my attention. And then I signed up and went to the 2-day seminar with David Fisher, and that absolutely blew me away. So I knew I had to do this. I've got to tell this quick story about David Fisher in my first 2-day. At one point he asked the question, how many of you guys already have some houses? And I raised my hand. How many of you bought those houses for all cash? And I proudly raised my hand. I have no mortgages. He pointed right at me and said, you're an idiot. And then very carefully went on to explain the awesome power of leverage. Had I not bought those for all cash, I would have been able to buy, 4 times as many houses if I'd been so inclined. But what actually would have happened, I would have become a passive investor in multifamily back in 2011 instead of 2014. So our net worth would have been some multiple higher than it is now, Al.
So there was a definite opportunity cost, and that opportunity cost was literally the opportunity for you to build wealth even faster. So you gave up 3 years of acceleration for what you thought was a really good deal. Doesn't Dell say something about what gets in the way of a great life is a good life? Is that kind of what happened there?
Absolutely spot on. I was enjoying a lot of extra cash income from those 7 houses. But I could have been so much further along, so much faster, could have retired at least 3 years earlier than I did, and been even lazier now than I am now.
So you've got these 7 houses. They're producing wonderful streams of income for you. Even though they're not leveraged, you're getting great cash flow. And 3 years goes by, and you decide to become a member of Lifestyles Unlimited. Tell me exactly what triggered in your mind to do that? Because, you've already got some pretty decent results. Why would you go to a place like Lifestyles Unlimited and spend some money on education when it already appears that you know what you're doing?
Well, I did a lot of things right. I was very careful about screening tenants and that sort of thing. But I thought, there's probably more that I know that they can teach me something that I don't know about single-family investing. At that time, it was single-family on my radar screen. It did not even occur to me that it was possible for people like you and I to buy multifamily properties. And that was one of the big awakenings to me in my 2-day, not just the power of leverage, but the fact that people like you and I can invest in multifamily properties and not have to do a darn thing.
Yeah, I remember going through the training, and I thought, okay, well, the single family, I've got some of that. I'm not doing it exactly right based on what I'm learning, but at least I can wrap my head around that. And then I thought the multifamily, that was like something that I would maybe address in 3 years or 5 years or 7 years, that I had to work through the baby steps of single family. And man, I figured out on the spot, I didn't have to wait. I could do like John did, I could become a passive investor. I did the same thing you did, man. You're one of my role models. Did you know that?
That's scary, Al.
That's very scary. When a Trojan follows an Aggie, bad things can happen.
That's right.
I love it. I love it. So you go through the 2-day. By the way, the 2-day that John refers to, that's our 2-day comprehensive educational program. Everybody who becomes a member of Lifestyles Unlimited, they go through that training. And why does everybody go through that training? What's the purpose, John?
It's the fundamental education that everything that we do as members of Lifestyles is based on. Everything you need to know about single family and everything you need to know about multifamily. And you start forming an idea in your mind of which path or paths you're going to take during all this. It is fundamental education, and it changed my life, Al. It really did in May of 2014.
So I know one of the first things that you did after you completed all the education was you got hooked up with a mentor. Why did you connect with a mentor? What was the whole purpose of that conversation that you had with the mentor?
Well, I learned so much in the 2-day that you cannot possibly digest it all in those 2 days. It really is like drinking from a fire hose. And so for my initial mentor meeting, he told me to prepare my personal financial statement and schedule a real estate owned and bring that information to him. It was a very impactful meeting to me. JB looked at it across the table for several minutes, didn't ask a single question about it, passed it back to me and said, John, tell me about your family. What are you doing for legacy now? That made a huge impact on me, Al. It helped me understand that my wife and I were going to be in great shape financially, and it was time to add some focus on legacy, my family, and whatever good I was going to be able to do in the world. I still at that time had no idea that Lifestyles would become such a huge part of my life with all the friends like you that I've made in the group and all the connections and contacts and fun that we have while working towards or enjoying retirement. Very impactful meeting for me. Mentors have been there, done that. We might have done some of the things they've done, but they've been there and done every aspect of this. And you're going to learn a tremendous amount from people that are more experienced than you are. That's just a fact.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think some of their experience actually comes from those conversations that they have with us as members. Because if you really think about what that mentor is doing, that mentor is not just having a conversation with you and a conversation with me. That mentor is having conversations with other Lifestyles members. So they're getting a very holistic approach to the body, if you will, of Lifestyles Unlimited, and they get a good sense for who needs what, which is part of the reason I think JB was able to sit down with you. He was able to look at your financials and know, hey, this guy's got what he needs to do, what he wants to do, but he focused on the fundamentals that were most important to you, your family. When we come back from the break, we're going to dig more into John's head. Stick around.
Got questions? Call Lifestyles Unlimited at 855-497-4335. The Real Estate Investor Radio Show continues next.
Well, one thing it has meant for us, and we have to compliment you, you've given us our time back. And I say our time because we got married 33 years ago, and we got married in July. Do you know why? Well, that was before I met Lifestyles. I used to work for Ford Motor Company. And with Ford Motor Company, I was in the automotive division. They have shut down during July, the first 2 weeks of July. So
you had to wait for a shutdown to get married?
Yes.
Yes, he actually.
Whoa, that's dedication there.
He made me change our wedding date. It was supposed to be June 15th, and I changed it.
Wow, that's amazing.
So if I had been in Lifestyle, I could have got married when I wanted to.
And the ring would have been bigger.
Thank you.
Ready to get your time back like Vivian and Cornell? Register for the free online workshop at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
creating the lifestyle you've always wanted. You're hearing Lifestyles Unlimited's Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome back to the second half of the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. My name is Al Gordon. I'm joined by John today, and together we're working on your financial freedom. Now, the reason I want you to listen to John is because he's going to impart upon you a ton of wisdom. Now, he's been a member of Lifestyles Unlimited since 2014. Now, ironically, he became a member of Lifestyles Unlimited in 2014 because he realized that if he wanted to get to where he wanted to get to in retirement, that Lifestyles Unlimited could teach him some incredible things. 2014, I attempted retirement. That's when I left the military and found out that I could not live on a pension alone, that living on that pension, well, it only paid me 1/3 of what I used to make when I was serving on active duty, and I had a huge sucking sound in my checking account. So why do I bring that up? It's to showcase the fact that John and I are two men that have families that we love, that went through different transitions in our lives with regards to retirement. And both of us realized that we needed the assistance of Lifestyles Unlimited and all the things that Lifestyles Unlimited brings to the table. We needed those support systems in order to get ourselves to a place of actual retirement, a place where we had more passive income coming in than we have expenses in our household. At that point, once we achieved that, we regained control over our life again. Now, John, you were a very successful engineer. Even though you're an Aggie, I know you're a very smart man. And I know that engineers work very, very hard, that there's very little tolerance for error in your career field because people could get hurt or killed, right? And as a result of that, that puts a lot of stress on you, does it not?
It does. Of course, I didn't really realize the magnitude of that stress while I was working. I knew I was tired of getting up at 5 o'clock every morning, and I knew I was tired of a whole lot of traveling, but I didn't realize the magnitude of that burden mentally. Much different when you're retired and everything is working fine.
Yeah, I loved your statement a little earlier that you only set an alarm for very, very important things, and none of those important things were rhymed with the word work. I thought that was an excellent example. So now you're living a mostly stress-free life, are you not?
Absolutely. There is no comparison in the level of stress. There's a couple of lifestyle friends of mine that even though they're retired, they get up early every morning, and they're always posting sunrise pictures on Facebook. And I like those pictures, but my comment is always, since I retired 6 years ago, I see way more sunsets than I do sunrises.
Man, that's amazing because you have nothing better to do when the sun is going down than to just enjoy the fact that the sun is transitioning out of our version of the sky and moving into another person's version of the sky. So stress is something that's in your rearview mirror. However, I think you're involved in 30 different passive deals right now? So you own interests in 30 different apartment communities. Isn't that stressful?
No, not really. My big obligation is to read the reports, the financials, the complete set of financials every month when they come out. And I have a good picture in my mind about how well these properties are doing, and the distributions to me are not a big issue at all. My big obligation is to read those reports and then continually reinvest sales and refinance proceeds when those events happen. In multifamily, always stay invested. Never eat your seed corn, Al.
What do you mean by that? Never eat my seed corn.
Early on, I had more money than I had time, of course. I did not need extra income at the time. And so I was very diligent about when a property would sell, yeah, it's a great event. Let's go have a really nice dinner or something. But I've always been a future-oriented person, future. And so by reinvesting those capital gains and cash-out refinances, I was building more and more and more equity in real estate that would serve me well down the road. And I continue that philosophy today, Al. Very important to continue building. Let that initial seed corn money continue to build and multiply and grow through time. that's how our net worth has tripled since I retired.
Do you recall when we met? Was it at Expo?
I believe it was, Al. I believe I stopped by the radio group that you're a part of, and that's probably how we met the first time.
I think so. And I remember hitting it off with you, and because here's the thing, John, at that point in my life, you were kind of what we would call a mini celebrity in Lifestyles Unlimited. I think you were serving as an ambassador at that time, and everybody knew your name, everybody knew your story because you were not afraid to share information about your background, information about how you achieved retirement. You're literally an open book, are you not?
Absolutely, Alan. That's one of the awesome powers of Lifestyles, is that we all help, encourage, and teach each other, both by example and just sharing information. It's a great superpower of Lifestyles.
Would you say that Expo magnifies that skill set by, say, 5,000?
At least, Al. It's great to see friends from all over the United States and not just in the United States. I have a friend of mine I've seen 2 or 3 expos in a row from Australia even.
Yeah, I got a buddy who's a police officer, Johnny, up in San Francisco. I didn't see him last year because I think he probably had to work, but I'm looking forward to seeing that guy because he's a hoot. And he's like-minded like you and I are, and he works in San Francisco. So, it's always nice to be that guy that he can talk to because nobody else understands him the way we do out here in Texas.
I'm sure that's true.
It's very true. So Expo's coming up. Tell me what the 1 or 2 things that you absolutely want to accomplish at this Expo. What are those things?
Well, as a more experienced member, there are a good number of lead investors that I know of, but I do not know them personally. And I have really gained from meeting some of that type of lead investor in person at Expo. Shake hands, look each other in the eye, have a quick conversation, and that really solidifies my pre-existing good opinion of them, and I've done well financially by investing with them in subsequent deals. So that's one aspect of Expo. Another aspect is exactly what you said, Al, the education that comes along with it. There are everything from tax panels to multifamily, single-family, just innumerable educational opportunities from Expo. And the problem is deciding which classes you're going to go to because there's always too many excellent ones to pick from. You just have to do the best you can. And just seeing friends like yourself, like people from all over the United States and in some cases outside the United States. It's just so fun to get reconnected with old friends again and make new ones too.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. So let me recap what you said. You said networking and education, and those are my top 2 also. That's exactly why I go. Now, some people would look at you and say, well, wait a minute, you've been a member since like forever. Why would you need all that education stuff if you already know what you know?
Well, to start with, I'm an Aggie, so that says a lot.
Well, there is that. Okay, let's say you were a Trojan like I am. Then what?
You're still going to learn from people that you meet and have conversations with. You're still going to meet new lead investors that you might not have known personally before. You're still going to learn. There's always something new to learn. Markets change, areas change, people change. There's always going to be more information and more knowledge to gain from Expo.
That's true. Even Dell learns things because he gets the opportunity to meet tons of members that share with him the results that they're achieving. And that helps Dell to understand that what we're doing is on track. I mean, he does kind of own the company, so it's important for him to be dialed in. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So we've talked about Expo. We've talked about your success as a real estate investor. We've talked about the fact that you're retired. You have 100% control over your life. We've talked about the legacy component, that everything you're doing is really focused to help your family, especially when you're no longer here. So, John, what is it that we really haven't talked about? What is sitting on your heart that you really want to share with the audience?
One of the fundamental things that I learned early on in my first 2 days was the difference in mindset between saving up that biggest pile of money that I possibly could and gradually spending it down in retirement. The difference between that mentality and, hey, once you replace your earned income, you can retire no matter what your age is. That is a fundamental mindset change that had never occurred to me before. I was 56 or 7 when I'm 57 when I retired. I was prepared to work until 67. Another 10 years, that's still 3 or 4 years from now, Al. I should still be working according to that old mindset. But we've got a second home on Galveston that we spend a bunch of time at. We do whatever in the heck we want to. And, I walk my German Shepherd every morning now and get the good exercise because I can. I'm not at work. That's good for me. That's good for my Shepherd. And that's how I stay up on your radio show. I listen to the podcast every morning while walking my Shepherd.
And you still came onto the show, even though you do listen to the show time and time again.
Absolutely. There is plenty of information and mindset thoughts that come both to more experienced people like me and less experienced members or even prospective members, because there are so many mindset changes that come along with being a Lifestyles member with the education that are absolutely invaluable. And it rejuvenates me every time I hear someone come on that joined not all that long ago, and look what they're already doing. They're charged up, and that charges me up.
Yeah, it's an amazing culture that we get to walk within. So how active are you as a member? Are you still doing the ambassador role, or have you passed that on to somebody else?
Absolutely. I love it. And actually, I'm not doing anything different as an ambassador that I was doing before I became an ambassador, before they started the ambassador program. I've always gotten a big kick out of helping out people that are coming along behind me. They're going through the same mindset changes that I went through back then. I remember all that, and I love talking about it and encouraging newer members along. Is there a selfish component to that? Well, there's a sense in which there is, because some of these people that I helped out early on in their membership, I'm invested with now, Al, and they're making me money and keeping me retired now. It's just fun to help people. My whole career, I've been really good at mentoring younger engineers and other people I worked with, and I got a lot of satisfaction out of that. And I continue to get a lot of satisfaction out of that now as an ambassador.
So as an ambassador, what areas of the country do you cover?
Well, I'm local to DFW, but we, ambassadors in DFW, do not have to set up meetup events necessarily and that sort of thing. There are several members in DFW that have stepped up and, hey, we're having a breakfast meetup. One of them's coming tomorrow morning that I'll be there. Early in the morning, I'll have to set my alarm because it starts at 7:30, but that's okay. It's a fun Lifestyles event with friends. So really, it's just when people come into DFW to visit from other areas, we get them introduced around to people that they need to know to make them feel welcome in the DFW group. And we do the same thing with new members coming in. It can be an overwhelming thing to come into a large group of people at a Lifestyles meeting, and we just meet them, shake their hand, kind of introduce them around, and let them know that you're in a good place here, and that it's not just me or a couple of people that have been very successful in this. It's the whole group, and we want to make them a part of that, feel welcome, and eventually become contributing members of it like we are.
Yeah, I want to say we have close to 40 or 50 ambassadors across the United States. I mean, it is a growing subculture within the Lifestyles community. And I think it's just amazing that people like you are reaching out their hand and they're helping new members as they enter into this journey. And man, what an amazing gift to give back. Hey, John, I want to thank you for coming on to the show today because it's just amazing the information that you've imparted upon the audience. And if you want to get started like John and I have done, go to lifestylesunlimited.com.
The information and opinions you hear on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.